Okay, let's unpack this. You ever feel like the future is just arriving faster than you can even process it?
Oh, absolutely. Like you blink,
Mm-hmm.
and something fundamental has shifted.
Right. And this Dubai Future Foundation report, the Global 51, it really hammers that home. Everything's so interconnected, moving so quickly.
Yeah, it really underscores that point about acceleration.
Yeah.
It's not just change, it's the pace of change.
Makes you realize just reacting isn't enough anymore. You kind of need to get ahead.
You do. Proactive foresight.
Yeah.
That's the game now. Understanding the forces shaping tomorrow, not just today.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do here. One of you, a fellow learner, actually shared this amazing resource, the Dubai Future Foundation's Megatrends Report 2025.
Yes. That's a dense one, packed with insights.
It really is. So think of this as like your personal briefing on the near to medium term future. Our mission today,
Mhm.
to basically pull out the most important stuff, connect some dots maybe you hadn't seen, and give you a clear map of these big shifts without, the information overload headache.
And that's key, avoiding the overload. Because these trends, they don't exist in isolation, do they?
Not at all.
They're deeply interwoven. Seeing those connections, that's crucial for spotting both the hurdles and, well, the exciting opportunities.
Precisely. The report covers a massive range, like 12 megatrends.
Right.
Everything from a materials revolution to this explosion of data, boundless multidimensional data, they call it.
Right.
And even the flip side, like technological vulnerabilities.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. So today we're going to focus on some of the most fascinating ones. We'll dig into some surprising facts, signals to really watch for in 2025, and the big areas of opportunity over the next decade or so. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it. And maybe a good place to start is thinking about how these seemingly separate trends actually influence each other. The report structures it well, but let's keep an eye out for those unexpected overlaps as we go.
Good call. Okay, first up, the materials revolution. Now, materials might sound a bit dry, maybe, a bit basic.
Yeah, concrete and steel, maybe. Not always the sexiest topic.
Right, but this mega trend, it reveals some seriously groundbreaking stuff. We're talking advancements fueled by AI, nanotechnology, deep materials science. It's really interdisciplinary.
It really is. It's become this fascinating nexus point. You've got, like, computer scientists working with materials scientists, biologists inspiring engineers. It's a real fusion.
It's not just about making things tougher or lighter anymore. It's about completely rethinking what materials can do.
Fundamentally reimagining possibilities, yeah.
Yeah, and one area that really jumped out at me was permanent magnets.
Ah, okay. Not the fridge kind.
Definitely not the fridge kind. These are super powerful magnets vital for clean energy tech. Think wind turbines, electric vehicles. They can boost energy efficiency by like 20 to 40%. That's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
And they're critical in healthcare too, right? MRI machines,
Mhm.
TMS for brain treatments, even fusion power research relies on them.
Exactly. And the push for clean energy globally is just making demand go vertical. But here's the catch.
The supply chain?
Yeah. Something like 85% of the mining is concentrated in China.
Right. That's a significant bottleneck. A geopolitical factor in the energy transition, really.
Makes the search for alternatives pretty urgent, doesn't it? Not just economic, but strategic.
Absolutely. And the demand figures are staggering.
Doubled between 2015 and 2023, and they expect it to nearly double again by 2050.
Wow.
So the pressure's on. People are exploring rare earth-free options like iron nitride. But get this. This is where AI comes in again. Researchers at King's College London use AI to basically design a new iron-based superconducting magnet. The potential. Dramatically cheaper MRIs.
Okay, that is a game changer.
Yeah.
AI accelerating material discovery for cost reduction and, well, resource independence. That's powerful.
Talk about impacting healthcare accessibility. Okay, next, within materials. Biomimetic materials.
Learning from nature.
Exactly. Nature as the ultimate R&D lab. These are human-made materials inspired directly by properties or functions found in the natural world.
And nature's had, what, billions of years to optimize?
Yeah.
Talk about efficient and sustainable solutions.
Totally. The report has some great examples. You know the bumps on a humpback whale's fin?
Vaguely, yeah. Tubercle thing.
Right, tubercles. They reduce drag. That idea inspired wind turbine blades that are 32% more efficient.
32% just from mimicking a whale fin. Amazing.
And Manamib desert beetle, its shell is incredible at harvesting fog.
I think I've heard of this one for water collection.
Yeah, led to materials that can pull water from the air in arid regions. the economic potential here is just massive. They're talking maybe $1.6 trillion by 2030.
That really shows the power of biology meeting engineering. Huge economic potential, and often more sustainable, too.
Okay, and the third piece here, quantum materials.
Right. Moving into the really small, really weird stuff.
Sounds like sci-fi, I know. But their unique properties are actually fundamental to making quantum technology work. We're talking superconductors, semiconductor quantum dots, stuff that helps stabilize qubits.
And qubits are the heart of quantum computers, right? The things that can be zeroed and one at the same time.
Exactly. That quantum weirdness, as you say. These materials like silicon or germanium quantum dots are key. Also things like spin qubits, diamond nitrogen vacancy centers for quantum sensing.
It's all about controlling that quantum state, which is incredibly difficult.
Super difficult. But big players, AWS, IBM, IonQ, they're making real progress, especially on error correction. That's the key hurdle.
And beyond computing.
Quantum communication, too.
Okay.
Ultra-secure networks. The potential applications span finance, healthcare, defense. The report estimates the global economic value could top $2 trillion by 2035.
Wow. So basic research in material science could unlock entirely new tech paradigms with huge economic waves.
Absolutely. So, okay, 3 things the report says to watch for specifically in 2025 in materials. Transparent wood. Stronger than glass or plexiglass. Apparently insulates way better, too. Biodegradable.
Transparent wood.
Okay.
Need to see that. Environmental impact assessment needed, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. Second, cooling ceramics. A durable coating. Super reflective to sunlight, almost 100%. Think energy-efficient roof shingles.
Passive cooling. That can make a big difference in building energy use.
And third, biofiltration. Smart filters coated with enzymes, they can apparently remove almost all bisphenol A pesticides from water, and they're reusable.
Clean water tech. That's always critical. Applications in bioreactors, food processing, biosensors. Interesting.
So those are the near-term things, and the big future opportunities they highlight.
Let me guess. Magnets and quantum.
You got it. That doubling demand for permanent magnets and the multi-trillion-dollar potential of quantum tech. Definitely areas to watch if you're thinking innovation, investment.
Makes sense. Huge potential in both.
Okay, let's shift gears. Let's plunge into the next megatrend. Boundless multidimensional data.
Right. This one feels like it touches everything. The sheer volume, the speed, the complexity.
Yeah, exactly. Data is just everywhere. More constant, richer, bigger volumes, faster speeds, driven by tech like 5G, the coming 6G, satellite connectivity.
And more people coming online constantly.
Get this, 97 million new internet users just last year.
97 million. Wow.
Brings the total connected population to 5.35 billion in 2024. That's 2/3 of everyone on Earth.
And initiatives to expand that 5G rollouts, affordable mobile internet, they're just going to keep pushing that number up.
This expanding connectivity, it's the foundation for so much else, isn't it? Remote work, online learning, the whole Internet of Things.
Absolutely. But all that data flying around globally, it raises big questions.
Like data sovereignty. That's a huge one. Cross-border flows are massive, but countries have different AI rules, different data protection laws.
It's becoming a real patchwork quilt of regulations.
In cloud computing, IoT, they just add layers of complexity, drives demand for local data storage, data localization. Makes you wonder, can data really be sovereign anymore?
It's a fundamental tension, isn't it? The global nature of data versus the need for national and individual control. That's a defining challenge we'll be grappling with for years.
Another angle here is green connections, the environmental impact.
The carbon footprint of the internet, often overlooked.
Hugely overlooked. Video streaming alone is like 65% of global data traffic. Right. And it contributes, what, 3.7% of global greenhouse gas emissions?
That's substantial. So organizations are feeling the pressure to clean up their digital act.
Yeah, even giants like Netflix are setting targets to cut their emissions significantly.
Good. It's becoming clear that our digital lives have a real-world environmental cost. Awareness is growing.
Now, let's look ahead. 6G.
Beyond 5G, what's the promise there?
Well, it's not just faster speeds, though. The speeds are kind of mind-boggling. We're talking potentially a terabit per second.
A terabit, okay.
But it's more about enabling completely new things.
Yeah.
Remote surgery with near-zero latency, real-time health monitoring on a massive scale, advanced industrial automation, super detailed digital twins.
So truly transformative applications across sectors.
Exactly, and it could handle way more devices, like 10 times the IoT devices 5G can handle. They expect 500 billion IoT devices by 2030.
500 billion connected things.
Wow.
The economic impact.
Yeah.
Combined 5G, 6G activity could create $3.2 trillion in global growth by 2030.
Okay, huge numbers. But making 6G happen requires new tech, right? Not just bigger pipes.
Right. New optical components, new transmission techniques, and things like reconfigurable intelligent surfaces.
Explain those. Sounds complex.
Think of it like smart mirrors for radio waves. Instead of just bouncing signals, they can actively shape and direct them. Using special materials, metamaterials, they can curve light rays, enhance coverage, even reduce energy use.
Okay, so actively managing the wireless environment itself, that's clever. Crucial for getting those signals everywhere they need to go efficiently.
Especially in dense cities or underserved areas.
Right.
Now, another key piece in this data puzzle, multimodal explainable AI, MXAI.
Right. AI dealing with different types of data text, images, audio, sensor data.
And the explainable part is critical.
Hmm.
As AI makes bigger decisions, medical diagnoses, fraud detection, we absolutely need to know how it got there. Why did it make that recommendation? Builds trust.
Yeah.
Right. Especially in high-stakes areas. You can't just have a black box making critical calls.
Exactly. MXAI aims to provide that transparency, and we're seeing multimodal AI take off. ChatGPT now taking voice and image prompts. That's a big sign.
Yeah, AI is moving beyond just text.
The prediction is a huge jump.
Yeah.
From like 1% of AI use being multimodal in 2023 to 40% by 2027.
40%. That's rapid adoption. And it makes sense the real world is multimodal. So AI needs to be too.
Think about a doctor using AI. If it uses images and text notes to suggest a diagnosis, MXAI would ideally show which part of the image or which phrase in the notes pushed it towards that conclusion. That helps the doctor trust it.
Exactly. Crucial for responsible deployment.
Speaking of AI in specific fields, sports AI.
Moneyball on steroids.
Kind of. It's impacting everything. Talent spotting, coaching strategies, optimizing player performance, fan engagement, even helping referees make calls.
Companies like Catapult, SportVU,
Yeah.
they're using data in really sophisticated ways.
Totally. And get this, the Paris Olympics this year. They used AI to analyze tons of footage to create personalized highlight reels, like 7 million possible combinations.
Personalized highlights for millions of viewers. That's impressive scaling.
Plus, tracking athlete performance, protecting athletes from online abuse, providing multilingual commentary, optimizing energy use at venues using digital twins.
Wow. AI is really permeating every aspect of major sporting events.
The market value projection reflects that. Nearly $30 billion for AI in sports by 2032, up from just over $2 billion in 2022. That's a huge growth rate.
Shows how AI is moving beyond just stats to providing real, actionable insights across the board in sports, enhancing performance and the fan experience.
So looking ahead to 2025 for Boundless Data, 3 key things to watch.
Okay.
Continued expansion of connectivity, just more people, more devices online, the ongoing debate and new regulations around data sovereignty, and the rise of that multimodal explainable AI.
Got it. Connectivity, control, and complexity explained. Those dynamics will definitely shape how we deal with this data deluge.
And the big opportunities down the line.
6G has to be one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The development and rollout of 6G, and that explosive growth of AI in sports.
Yeah.
Huge potential for innovation and investment in both those areas over the next decade.
Makes sense. 2 very dynamic fields.
All right, let's transition now from the opportunities of data to its potential downsides. Next megatrend, technological vulnerabilities.
Right. The inevitable flip side of progress. New tech brings new risks.
Absolutely. As we rely more on tech, new weaknesses pop up across tech systems, industry, geography, even biology now.
And cybersecurity is front and center for leaders, isn't it?
Hugely. Nearly half of CEOs in one survey ranked it as a top risk, and the scale is mind-boggling. Commonwealth Bank of Australia, they detect 85 million potential cyber fraud attempts every single day.
85 million a day. That's staggering. Underscores the relentless nature of these threats.
And the cost. The global average for a single data breach is almost $5 million now.
Serious financial and reputational damage. It's not just an IT problem, it's a major business risk.
Another huge vulnerability. Borderless misinformation and disinformation.
The fake news problem.
Yeah.
And the distinction matters, right? Misinformation is accidental, disinformation is deliberate deception.
Exactly. And tackling it. Most people in a WF survey said it needs strong international cooperation. But global cooperation isn't exactly booming right now.
Which makes it harder. And AI complicates it further, doesn't it? Generating convincing fake text, images, videos.
Right. AI-generated misdisinformation could really deepen social and political divides. And it's all made worse by, less investment in fact-checking and content verification by some platforms.
It's a tough challenge. Democratizing information is good, but it also empowers bad actors.
Hmm.
We need better media literacy, stronger fact-checking,
And related to this is the need for trust through transparency.
especially in digital services, public infrastructure.
Yeah, people are demanding better consumer protection online. Clear, robust user protection policies are vital for building public trust, especially in things like government-run digital payment systems or public record databases.
It requires real transparency, public awareness efforts, engaging with people about how their data is used and protected. It's not optional anymore. It's foundational.
Here's a really interesting angle the report brings up: incorporating psychology into cybersecurity.
How so? Understanding the human element.
Exactly. Cybercrime doesn't just cost money, it takes a huge mental toll on victims.
Yeah.
Like 60% of fraud victims report mental health struggles.
That's a significant impact we don't always talk about.
And think about the numbers. 349 million people affected by data breaches in 2023. Millions of fraud reports, identity theft cases.
Pervasive.
So the idea is, if we better understand the psychology of why people fall for scams or the motivations of attackers, we can design better defenses, more effective training, more resilient systems.
Makes sense. Focusing on the root behaviors, using interdisciplinary approaches.
Then there's cyberbiosecurity. This is a relatively new and, frankly, kind of scary area.
The intersection of cyber threats and biological systems.
Yeah. Two main threats they highlight. One is cyber-physical attacks hacking into a lab's equipment, say, to sabotage research or steal sensitive biological data.
Okay.
The other is even more concerning: using digital information like stolen genetic sequences from biobanks to potentially create dangerous biological materials.
Yeah.
Manipulating genetic data.
That sounds worrying.
Yeah.
And awareness is low, you say?
Generally low globally, yeah. Some regions, like Southeast Asia, might be less prepared. Raising awareness is crucial. Biotech companies, research labs, policymakers needs education, training involving all the relevant disciplines.
Absolutely. A novel threat category requires a coordinated response. It's good to see initiatives starting, like that research center in London establishing an education network.
Yeah, definitely needed. Finally, under vulnerabilities, there's this balancing act: interoperability versus cybersecurity.
Meaning systems need to talk to each other, but that connection can create risks.
Precisely. Cybersecurity is a global cross-border problem. Interoperability, common standards, protocols can help us collaborate and respond faster. Think about how long it takes to even detect a breach sometimes.
The report probably has a figure for that.
Yeah, the average time to identify and contain a breach in 2023 was 258 days.
Almost 9 months. That's incredible.
So better interoperability, shared standards, collaboration that could theoretically shorten that time, but you have to build it securely from the ground up.
Right. It can be a double-edged sword. Estonia's X-Road system is often cited as a good example, right? Secure, cross-border digital governance.
Exactly. Shows it can be done, enhancing security and services. So looking towards 2025 on vulnerabilities, 3 things to keep a close eye on.
Let's hear them.
Cybersecurity remaining a top C-suite level priority. The ongoing, maybe escalating battle against borderless mis and disinformation, especially with AI's role. And that increasing demand for trust through real transparency in digital systems.
Makes sense. Security, truth, and trust. Critical fronts for a stable digital future.
And the key areas for future opportunity.
Where can we make a difference?
Addressing that low cyber biosecurity awareness, especially in vulnerable regions, that's a big gap. And finding better ways to support the mental health of people impacted by cybercrime, that human cost needs more attention.
Agreed. Important areas needing innovative solutions.
All right, let's shift now to something fundamental to everything else: energy boundaries.
The engine of progress, as they say.
Yeah.
And the focus now is squarely on the clean energy transition, right?
Absolutely. This megatrend looks at that transition, but also the key enablers: novel materials, AI playing a role, even space-based solar power concepts.
And fundamental access remains a huge issue globally.
Huge. Sustainable Development Goal 7 is all about affordable, clean energy for all. We're seeing big initiatives like the World Bank and African Development Bank aiming to get electricity to 300 million more people in Africa by 2030.
That's a massive undertaking. Vital for development, vital for climate goals, too. Requires huge investment, public and private.
We're also seeing this big drive for energy self-sufficiency.
Countries, even companies, wanting more control over their energy sources.
Exactly. Driven by new tech, rising demand, geopolitical instability, you see it everywhere. Like Six Flags Magic Mountain installing enough solar to cover 100% of its energy use.
An amusement park going fully solar, that's impressive.
Or China planning its first onshore commercial small modular reactor SMR for 2025. Even Amazon and Google are backing their own SMR projects.
Interesting. SMRs are seen as potentially more flexible, maybe safer nuclear options, a move towards greater energy independence and resilience.
Now, biofuels. This is a complex one.
Yeah. Promise of lower emissions, but potential downsides too.
Right. The market's expected to double by 2033, but some biofuels, like palm oil biodiesel from certain regions, can actually have a way higher carbon footprint than diesel when you look at the whole life cycle, especially deforestation impact.
The land use change issue, that's critical.
And diverting agriculture to fuel production raises questions about sustainable feedstocks, food security, indirect environmental impacts. Is it straightforward?
Definitely needs careful, holistic assessment. Not all biofuels are created equal.
Here's a really fascinating concept the report mentions: using game theory for the global path to net zero.
Game theory, like analyzing strategic decisions between countries or industries.
Exactly. Getting to net zero by 2050 requires trillions in investment, massive global cooperation. It's incredibly complex.
A classic collective action problem.
Right. So game theory models, which analyze interactive decision-making, could be used alongside climate models to better understand the strategic choices, maybe influence interactions, and find pathways to cooperation towards that carbon neutrality goal.
Interesting. Applying strategic modeling to climate policy could offer new insights into achieving collaboration.
Then there's the geography of clean energy manufacturing. Where's all this stuff actually made?
Concentrated, I imagine.
Highly concentrated. Just 4 countries plus the EU make 80–90% of solar panels, wind turbines, batteries, electrolyzers, heat pumps.
Wow, that's a bottleneck.
And lithium production. Australia, Chile, China account for over 90%.
So supply chain risks again, and strategic dependence.
Which is why many other countries are now seriously considering onshoring, bringing that manufacturing home.
Makes sense. Build resilience, capture some of that economic value.
And the value is huge. The clean energy tech market could triple to $650 billion annually by 2030 as countries try to meet climate goals. They reckon it could create 8 million new manufacturing jobs globally by then.
So diversifying those supply chains is a massive economic opportunity as well as a strategic move.
Finally, let's talk hydrogen and the search for a platinum alternative.
Hydrogen's seen as a key piece of the clean energy puzzle, but production is a challenge.
A big one. Using clean energy apps is growing fast, but still less than 1% of global hydrogen demand. And to meet net zero goals, demand for low emissions hydrogen needs to scale up massively.
And electrolyzers, the machines that make it, often rely on platinum.
Right. Especially the efficient ones, the proton exchange membranes. In 2023, only about 22% of electrolyzer capacity used those efficient platinum-based ones.
And platinum is expensive and scarce.
Exactly. Over 70% comes from South Africa, which faces mining challenges. So finding alternatives is crucial for scaling up hydrogen.
What are the options?
They're looking at noble metal alloys, cheaper transition metals like nickel or cobalt, even carbon-based catalysts. Lots of research happening there.
Critical R&D to unlock hydrogen's potential without relying on constrained resources.
So looking towards 2025 in energy, 3 things to watch.
1.
Continued funding for energy access, especially in developing nations. That ongoing drive for energy self-sufficiency at national and corporate levels. And efforts to really optimize the biofuel value chain, making sure it's genuinely sustainable.
Access, independence, and sustainability. Key themes.
And the big future opportunities.
Let's see. Game theory for net zero.
Yep. Onshoring clean energy manufacturing.
Makes sense.
And finding that crucial platinum alternative for hydrogen. Those are the frontiers.
Big challenges, big opportunities.
Okay, let's move to how our whole relationship with the environment is shifting. Megatrend, evolving ecosystems.
Right. This feels like a deeper shift in thinking, moving beyond just minimizing harm.
Exactly. Less focus on just the impact of one specific product or process, more on the health of the entire ecosystem, driven by resource scarcity, climate change, changing social values.
It's more interdisciplinary, more future-focused, considering society and environment together.
The goal seems to be shifting towards actively regenerating and conserving ecological services while still meeting human needs.
A move from sustainability to regeneration. We'll probably touch on that.
We will. But first, a big elephant in the room. the sustainability of generative AI.
Ah, yes. The energy and water footprint of these massive models.
It's becoming a huge concern. Over 80% of organizations might be using Gen AI in production by 2026. That's up from less than 5% today.
That's explosive growth.
Right.
And the resource consumption is significant.
Some estimates are wild.
Yeah.
Training ChatGPT might use the same energy as 33,000 average U.S. homes.
Wow.
And the water needed for cooling AI data centers globally could reach half the UK's annual water consumption.
That is not sustainable at current rates. Mitigation is crucial.
Definitely. More energy-efficient chips powering data centers with renewables. It has to happen.
The hidden environmental cost of our digital boom needs way more attention.
On a more positive note, we're seeing increased volunteerism for the environment.
People getting more engaged.
Seems so. Over half the people in one big climate vote survey said they're more concerned about climate change than last year. And nearly 15% of people globally volunteered monthly back in 2022.
And environmental volunteering specifically might be growing. Tree planting, cleanups.
Yeah, the report suggests that's likely driven by rising awareness. People want to do something.
That's encouraging. Grassroots action making a difference.
And speaking of action, climate tech startups in Africa. This is a really dynamic space.
Huge potential there, right? Clean energy, responsible mining, ecosystem restoration.
Absolutely, and engaging youth. African climate tech startups have raised over $3.4 billion since 2019, and that's expected to rise significantly given the continent needs hundreds of billions annually to meet its Paris Agreement goals.
Innovation and entrepreneurship driving climate solutions on the ground. That's powerful.
Now, let's talk about all things regenerative. You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, the idea that goes beyond just sustaining things.
Right. It gained traction in urban development back in the 90s, trying to go beyond just green buildings. Now it's becoming, as the report puts it, maybe the new sustainability.
So what's the core difference?
Sustainability often aims to balance human needs with environmental protection, kind of maintaining equilibrium. Regeneration focuses on actively restoring natural resources, enhancing biodiversity, rejuvenating damaged ecosystems.
More proactive, healing and improving, not just maintaining.
Exactly, and the idea is spreading. Regenerative medicine, the body healing itself, regenerative agriculture, rehabilitating soil, improving animal welfare, healthier communities, better long-term yields.
It's a mindset shift. Prioritizing ecosystem restoration in daily living, tourism, community planning, focusing on long-term enrichment over immediate returns.
It feels like a more holistic, hopeful approach.
It does. Now, acoustic AI for ecosystems. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, using AI to analyze sound to understand and improve ecosystems, marine, wildlife, even urban ones.
How does that work?
Well, think about the ocean. Sound travels really far underwater. It's crucial for how marine animals communicate, migrate, interact. AI can monitor whale songs, for instance, to track species and help conservation.
Listening to the ocean's health.
Kind of. Their challenge is not enough data sometimes, background noise, classifying complex sounds, but AI can provide valuable real-time insight.
And beyond wildlife.
Optimizing room acoustics, monitoring urban noise pollution, improving studio recordings, speech clarity in classrooms. AI analyzing sound has lots of applications. Integrating it with IoT could boost productivity, creativity.
Fascinating, using sound data in entirely new ways.
Finally, under-evolving ecosystems, the Internet of Underwater Things, IOUT.
Okay, like IoT, but wet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Networks of connected sensors and devices underwater. Our oceans are under immense pressure. Climate change, unsustainable use. The UN has this decade of ocean science.
Right. Trying to boost research and collaboration.
So IOUT fits right in. It offers huge potential for environmental monitoring, exploration, maybe even disaster prevention like tsunami warnings.
Makes sense. We know less about the deep ocean than the surface of the moon, right?
Something like that. There are big challenges, harsh conditions, transmitting data through water, but the potential is massive. IoT overall is projected to unlock maybe $12.6 trillion in value by 2030 across all sectors. A chunk of that could be underwater.
Depends on better connectivity, dealing with security, cost.
Yeah.
But yeah, extending our senses into the ocean is a huge frontier.
So, for evolving ecosystems in 2025, 3 things to watch.
Okay.
The sustainability crunch with generative AI, how do we manage that footprint? The hopeful trend of increased environmental volunteerism, and the continued growth and impact of climate tech startups in Africa.
Got it. AI's impact, human action, and regional innovation. Key indicators.
And the big future opportunities.
Regeneration.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Embracing all things regenerative. acoustic AI for understanding ecosystems better, and developing that internet of underwater things.
Restoring nature, listening to it, and exploring its depth. Powerful combination.
Okay, let's cross some borders now, virtually and economically. Next megatrend, borderless world fluid economies.
Right. Technology eroding traditional boundaries. Transactions, communities, liabilities,
Yeah.
all becoming more global, more interconnected.
Exactly. We're seeing unmediated transactions blurring jurisdictions, shifting where responsibility lies. Cross-border communities and networks are booming in finance, health, education, trade, services, even space.
Accelerated by comms tech, computing power, AI.
And a key issue here is global data access and user consent for AI training.
We touched on data sovereignty, but this is specifically about AI needing vast data sets, often from users globally.
Precisely. AI spending is set to hit over $600 billion by 2028. Social media, tech platforms, they're using our data to train their AI, sometimes with opt-out clauses or buried consent terms.
Raises big questions about fairness, control, and the need for global standards.
Yeah, the report suggests the need for common global rules for data management and sharing might just intensify.
The tension between needing data for innovation and protecting individual rights, a core conflict of the digital age.
Then there's cross-border philanthropy, giving across borders.
Important for global challenges, disaster relief.
Hugely important. Global cross-border giving hit $70 billion back in 2020 from high-income countries. But growth seems stagnant recently, and there are barriers.
Like what? Taxes, legal recognition.
Yeah, complex tax rules, limited legal status for foreign foundations in some places, misaligned legal protections. Makes it harder than it should be.
Streamlining that could unlock a lot more resources for global problems.
Intellectual property in a borderless digital world. This is getting messy.
Especially with AI, right? AI trained on copyrighted material. AI generating its own content.
Exactly. LLMs, Gen AI. They hoover up public data, including copyrighted stuff. And as Gen AI outputs get better, it raises fundamental questions. Can AI be an inventor? How does copyright apply?
Existing IP laws weren't designed for this. Needs rethinking. WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, is holding forums on it. The UAE's C4IR published a report too. It's a hot topic.
Then global cooperation for cross-border digital asset regulation. Think crypto tokens.
A regulatory nightmare currently. Everyone doing their own thing.
Pretty much. The market for tokenized assets beyond Bitcoin Tether could hit $2 trillion by 2030, but there's no universal definition of a digital asset.
So legality can vary wildly depending on where you are.
Right. 2/3 of jurisdictions are regulating or planning to, but the differences create huge challenges. Financial Stability Board, IOSCO, they're working on universal definitions. Unit of right principles offer a framework, but gaps remain.
Harmonization is key for innovation, but also for preventing illicit use. Interesting, the UAE is mentioned as a leader in the region on this.
Yeah, VARA, ADGM, DIFC. They've put frameworks in place. Now, here's a mind bender. Exploring artificial intelligence personhood for legal boundaries.
Giving AI legal status, like a corporation.
Potentially. As AI gets more autonomous, makes bigger decisions, maybe even impacts international relations, the question arises, should it have some legal standing?
It's not totally unprecedented. We grant rights to nature in some places, but AI, that opens a huge can of worms.
Rights, responsibilities, accountability. But how would it even work? Could you sanction an AI? Fine it? Deactivate it?
Massive legal and ethical challenges. Raises questions about moral responsibility, economic efficiency, these huge global debate. The pace of AI makes it urgent.
Feels like we need to start thinking about it now. Lastly, transdisciplinary education for global innovation.
Meaning, we need education that breaks down traditional subject silos to tackle complex global problems.
Exactly. The next decade's risks, environmental, societal, tech, economic, they're all interconnected. They demand cooperation across borders and across disciplines.
Like climate change impacting food systems, migration, economies. You can't solve that from just one perspective.
Or rising global water and energy demands impacting everything from supply chains to geopolitics. You need people who understand law, tech, ethics, international relations, science, all working together.
So universities need to step up, create programs that foster that cross-sector understanding.
Yes, co-developed with industry too, focused on real-world problems. Some places are doing it, like the University of 20, but we need much more of it.
Equipping people with the integrated skills to navigate this complex, borderless world. Seems essential.
So for Borderless World in 2025, 3 things to track.
All right.
Global data access and that user consent issue for AI training, watch that space. Trends in cross-border philanthropy, will it pick up?
Right.
And the evolving landscape of intellectual property in the digital age.
Data rights, global giving, and digital ownership. Key friction points in a borderless world.
And the big future opportunities.
That's digital asset regulation. AI personhood.
You got it. Fostering global cooperation for sensible digital asset rules. And continuing that complex, necessary exploration of AI personhood and its implications.
Big, thorny issues with no easy answers.
Definitely not. Okay, let's step fully into the virtual now. Next megatrend, digital realities.
The metaverse, AR, VR, the lines blurring between physical and digital experience.
Right. Digital natives are leading the way into virtual worlds that replicate, sometimes even improve on, real-world tasks, all enhanced by faster connectivity like 5G, 6G for real-time interaction. Quantum tech might eventually make it feel even more real.
But the initial metaverse hype cooled off a bit, didn't it?
It did. You had Meta's Reality Labs losing billions, concerns about cybersickness, mental health issues like cyberbullying in virtual spaces, regulatory hurdles.
Yeah, significant challenges.
But the idea isn't dead. Dubai's metaverse strategy, South Korea's big investment fund, WEF working on it, specialized university labs, suggests the potential for wider adoption is still there. Some still predict VR could replace smartphones by 2035.
So maybe less hype, but continued development and finding real use cases.
Teams like it. And we are seeing practical digital contactless experiences taking off, especially AR on smartphones.
Like seeing furniture in your room before you buy it.
Exactly. IKEA, L'Oreal's Virtual Try-On, Google Maps Live View, those are becoming more common. Plus, Apple Vision Pro having over 2,000 spatial apps at launch shows momentum.
And Gen AI helps here too, making it easier to create these experiences.
Yeah, quicker and cheaper to build spatial environments. So expect more of these AR integrations. AI is also crucial for powering extended reality, XR itself.
How so? Making the experiences better.
Personalizing interactions, managing the complex data flows needed for smooth experiences, driving user engagement. AI is projected to add nearly $20 trillion to global GDP by 2030, and its role in XR is part of that.
And it helps with learning and training too, right?
Big time. Studies show XR powered by AI can improve learning retention by 75%, boost confidence by 275%. That's significant for education and workforce training.
Intelligent, adaptive, immersive experiences.
Yeah.
That's the promise.
We're also seeing growth in the digital theater.
Live performance is going virtual. Or new kinds of digital art.
Both. The home entertainment cinema market is huge and growing. Tech is transforming drama, creating new interactive theater forms. There are even calls to use tech to analyze past productions to improve drama education.
And the pandemic accelerated this, right? Online broadcasts reaching huge audiences.
Definitely. The National Theater at Home reached over 15 million viewers globally. Digital realities make the arts much more accessible to people who can't attend live.
Democratizing culture, creating new artistic possibilities.
But this blurring of worlds also leads to this. Virtual real self-divide.
Our online personas versus our offline selves?
Yeah, people maintain multiple identities online. It raises deep questions. What does it mean to be human when we exist in both physical and virtual spaces? What about presence, consciousness?
And practical ethics, too. What info do we share? Privacy. Accountability for virtual actions with real-world consequences.
How do we regulate these spaces to build trust but allow freedom? And how do our virtual and real identities influence each other? That's a huge research area.
It can be positive if they align, right? But potentially negative if the virtual self feels superior, leading to disconnection.
Exactly. Disconnection, lower self-esteem, life satisfaction. It's complex territory we're navigating. Finally, the evolving acceptance of AR/VR headsets.
The hardware itself. Sales dipped after the initial surge.
They did. Down 40% since 2022. Startup funding also down. But shipments started growing again late last year. Some forecasts are optimistic, huge growth by 2028. Others are cautious. Apple reportedly cut Vision Pro production.
So still uncertain. The tech is still kind of experimental.
Largely, yeah. Focused on testing functionality, viability. User acceptance depends on many things. Innovation, real benefits, quality, ease of use, societal impacts.
Making them comfortable, affordable, and genuinely useful for everyday tasks is key. Needs better standardization, validation too.
There's an opportunity there to develop better models for understanding user acceptance as the tech matures. So for digital realities in 2025, 3 things to watch.
Yeah.
Metaverse calls, are they finding real traction beyond the hype? the continued growth of practical digital contactless experiences via AR, and how AI is increasingly powering and personalizing XR.
Metaverse momentum, AR utility, and AI integration.
Got it. And the big future opportunity.
Visual theater.
The self-divide.
Headsets.
Yep.
Growing the digital theater and arts access. Navigating that complex virtual real self-divide responsibly. And the potential rebound and wider adoption of AR/VR headsets if they hit the right notes on usability and value.
Lots happening in how we perceive and interact with reality yourself. Definitely. Okay, let's bring in the machines. Next megatrend, life with autonomous robots and automation.
Right. Robots moving beyond factories into, well, everywhere.
Yeah.
Driven by advances in engineering, materials, AI, networks.
Exactly. Expanding beyond automotive, manufacturing, logistics, bringing efficiency, innovation, but also ethical challenges, right? Autonomy, decommissioning, the future of work.
And more interaction. Robot, human machine, raising IP questions, even robot rights eventually.
It's coming. But first, humanoid robots. The report suggests they could disrupt all other robots.
Really, both industrial and service robots.
That's the idea. There are already millions of robots in factories, millions more consumer service robots. Humanoids could potentially do tasks in both domains.
The market projections are probably big then.
Huge. $2.4 billion in 2023, expected to hit $66 billion by 2032. Especially in healthcare, manufacturing, logistics. There's even a factory in Oregon now, RoboFab, solely for making humanoid robots.
Okay, so mass production is starting. That could accelerate things, raises those societal questions even more urgently.
We're also seeing breakthroughs in robot dexterity.
Making them less clumsy, able to handle more delicate tasks.
Yeah, becoming more versatile, thanks to better designs, new materials, even sustainable robotics concepts. And Gen AI is expected to help here too. Better sensing, adaptability.
Any cool examples?
Google's Aloha Unleashed project. Robots tying shoelaces, repairing other robots. Pretty complex stuff. They're also using simulation training, like DemoStart, to rapidly improve dexterity.
So they can learn complex tasks faster in simulation before trying them in the real world. Smart. Enables more tasks in less structured environments.
Drone evolution is another big piece.
They're becoming much more capable, right? Not just hobbyist toys.
Far beyond. Commercial drone capabilities are expanding rapidly. Sea drones market projected near $20 billion by 2030. Electric vertical takeoff landing drones, the air taxi market, $160 billion by 2040.
Flying taxis. Are they actually happening?
China just certified its first one globally. The EHang EH216S carries 2 passengers. And Dubai is building flying taxi stations, planning for 170,000 passengers a year.
Wow. Transforming logistics, transport, surveillance. Drones are everywhere.
Biomimicry is back again, this time for soft robotics.
Inspired by nature to make robots squishy.
Basically, yeah. Adaptable robots made of flexible, tissue-like materials. They can outperform rigid robots in some ways, speed, stability, navigating tight spaces.
Like an octopus arm or something.
Exactly that kind of inspiration. Bionic, multi-legged soft robots are faster, more stable. Gecko-inspired ones can climb walls, even work in microgravity due to strong adhesion.
Development must be complex. Materials, how they move, the design, all interconnected, like in biology.
Totally. Especially key for medical application surgery, diagnostics where precision and adaptability are crucial. Needs biologists and engineers working closely together.
Deepening our understanding of biology to advance robotics. Cool synergy.
As robots become more common collaborators, we need a better understanding of human-robot interaction, HRI.
How we work with them safely and effectively.
Right. Robots are in manufacturing, research, agriculture, food service. Cobots, humanoid robots, they signal this shift to adaptable machines working alongside people.
But there are hurdles to widespread adoption.
Definitely. Safety, regulations, job impacts, cost, and a big one, trust. Especially as AI makes them seem more autonomous.
Trust isn't just about reliability, is it? It's more emotional.
Exactly. The report defines it as humans intentionally depending on robots despite risks, based on positive impacts, acknowledging uncertainties. It has an emotional dimension.
So building that trust through reliable tech and managing the emotional side of collaboration is crucial for successful integration.
Absolutely. Finally, better manufacturing measured through robot collaboration, specifically with additive manufacturing.
3D printing, basically. How do collaborative robots help there?
Additive manufacturing builds layer by layer, allowing complex designs. Scaling depends on materials, polymers, metals, ceramics, etc. Cooperative robots could really boost adoption.
How? By assisting the printing process. Quality control.
Yeah, enhancing printing, helping with tasks around it, enabling real-time data capture that a single robot couldn't manage. Needs smart planning, collision avoidance, using AML to improve material properties during the process.
So the key is assessing how well the humans and robots are collaborating in real time. That's the new frontier.
Seems like it. Measuring the quality of that collaboration to innovate manufacturing. So for robots and automation in 2025, three things to watch.
Okay.
Humanoid robots potentially disrupting everything, those ongoing breakthroughs in robot dexterity, and the rapid evolution and expanding use cases for drones.
Humanoids, dexterity, and drones.
Got it. Key indicators of robotic advancement.
And the big future opportunities.
Soft robotics, HRI, manufacturing.
Yep, biomimicry for soft robotics, getting a much better understanding of human-robot interaction, especially trust.
Yeah.
And transforming manufacturing through intelligent robot collaboration.
Fascinating areas where tech meets biology, psychology, and industry.
All right, our final megatrend for today, future humanity. This sounds profound. How technology is changing what it means to be human.
Pretty much. Advanced AI, brain-computer interfaces, biotech breakthroughs, this borderless world, it's all shifting our understanding and expectations of self-realization work, education, thriving.
Redefining personal development, communication, even core concepts like self-esteem, autonomy, stability.
Yeah. Bringing new ideas about parenting, care, love, belonging, inclusion, community. The traditional boundaries between self, society, institutions, they're evolving.
A lot to unpack there. Where does the report start?
One area is women in artificial intelligence and data science.
Representation in tech. Still an issue.
Progress, but still way to go. The share of women in AI engineering roles is around 35% now, maybe. Data varies, but there are many initiatives trying to close that gap.
Important for fairness, but also for better, less biased technology, right?
Yeah.
Diverse teams build better products for everyone.
Absolutely. Then bridging the technology-human gap in customer service.
We touched on AI in customer service, the risk of losing the human touch.
Exactly. 85% of customer service leaders might pilot customer-facing Gen AI in 2025. But there's this growing sense that tech alone isn't boosting loyalty. There's a disconnect.
So businesses need to find the right balance. Tech as an enabler, but prioritizing authentic human connection.
Seems to be the emerging wisdom, focusing on relevance, genuine needs, giving customers control, not just automating everything.
Makes sense. Efficiency versus empathy. Needs both.
The overall narrative around artificial intelligence and humanity is also constantly shifting.
How people perceive AI's impact.
Yeah, one survey found over a third of people expect AI's impact on daily life to accelerate substantially within the next year.
That's fast. And as AI evolves, it needs to reflect human diversity.
That's the hope, reflecting diverse cultures, ethics, regional approaches, serving society's values, not just optimizing for efficiency. A big S.
A critical one.
Yeah.
Keeping AI aligned with human interests.
Interestingly, amid all this tech focus, the report highlights the fundamental need for the arts.
Why now specifically?
Well, the creative economy is huge, over $2 trillion annually. 3% of global GDP, employs over 6% of the workforce. And it's projected to grow fast, maybe 10% of GDP by 2030, driven by digitalization.
So it's economically significant.
Yeah.
But funding is a challenge.
Always. Vulnerable to downturns, often overlooked in policy. Plus, declining arts education enrollment is a worry.
Why is arts education so important, especially now?
It fosters creativity, critical thinking, cross-disciplinary skills needed for complex problems. It's vital for mental health, education, navigating social change, and maybe crucially, helps us understand life, the human condition, more deeply, something valuable as AI advances.
Counterbalancing the technological with the human, the emotional, the creative. Makes sense.
Then there's this idea, a lab for online dispute resolution across legal systems.
Using AI to help people resolve legal disputes, especially cross borders.
Yeah. AI-powered dispute resolution could massively increase access to justice. Billions globally lack it now. In the U.S., 92% of low-income civil cases have little or no legal help.
And AI is showing promise here. LLMs as mediators.
Early results are interesting. LLMs matching or even outperforming humans in some mediation tasks. A cross-border lab could really advance AI tools for disputes across jurisdictions, languages.
Huge potential, but challenges too. Bias, privacy, ensuring it works fairly across different legal cultures.
Big challenges. But initiatives are starting piloting elements for legal aid in family law, civil disputes.
Leveraging AI for access to justice, a powerful application if done right.
Finally, understanding talent retention, especially with Gen Z entering the workforce in force.
What motivates them? What keeps them? Is it different?
Meaningful work matters, yes. But alignment with organizational values seems even more significant, especially for Gen Z. They'll be over a quarter of the workforce by 2025.
So companies need to walk the talk on their values, not just have slogans.
Exactly. Gen Z seems to prioritize job security too, maybe more than frequent changes. But assessing that value alignment is tricky. People might not know their own values perfectly. Companies might not be clear or genuine about theirs.
So it requires clear values, real commitment, and hiring processes that look for genuine fit, reducing bias.
Right. Diverse hiring panels focusing on cultural contribution, not just fit. Prioritizing value alignment builds loyalty, makes companies employers of choice, creates a better culture for everyone.
Adapting to the values of the next generation of workers, crucial for staying competitive.
So, for future humanity in 2025, 3 things to watch.
Go on.
Continued progress for women in AI and data science, how companies bridge that tech-human gap in customer service, and that evolving narrative around AI and humanity, how we perceive its role and impact.
Representation, connection, and perception. Key human dimensions in a tech world.
And the big future opportunities.
The arts, dispute resolution, talent retention.
Got it. Recognizing and supporting the need for the arts, developing effective, accessible online dispute resolution, and understanding talent retention through value alignment, especially for Gen Z.
Shaping a future that balances tech progress with human values, creativity, and fairness.
That seems to be the underlying theme, which brings us almost to the end. Let's quickly recap this deep dive into the Dubai Future Foundation's Megatrends Report 2025.
Okay. What are the big takeaways?
Well, a couple of interconnected insights really stand out to me. First, this incredible acceleration across materials, data, automation, it's opening amazing doors, right? But it's also creating real vulnerabilities and complex ethical dilemmas we have to tackle head on.
Yeah, the progress and the peril often go hand in hand.
Second, those traditional boundaries we used to rely on. Physical versus digital, national borders for data or finance, even human versus machine. They're just getting so blurry, so permeable. We need new ways of thinking, new frameworks to navigate it all.
Absolutely. Like we saw with materials enabling faster data, but that data needing more sustainable materials for the infrastructure. It's all linked.
Or how interconnected data creates opportunities and vulnerabilities needing new cybersecurity and trust models.
That interconnectedness is probably the biggest theme running through it all.
I think so too. And for you, the learner, we really hope this breakdown has given you a useful map, a shortcut to understanding these big forces without getting totally swamped.
Yeah, whether you're just curious about what's coming or actively trying to prepare professionally, these trends, materials, data, vulnerabilities, energy, ecosystems, future humanity, they offer crucial perspectives.
Hopefully it gives you a solid framework to think critically about the future, spot opportunities, maybe see risks in your own field.
Definitely. A starting point for your own deeper exploration.
So here's a final thought we want to leave you with to chew on. With our physical and digital worlds merging more and more, and with autonomous systems becoming so prevalent, what new ethical rules, what new societal frameworks are going to be absolutely essential for us to navigate this future responsibly? Not just as individuals, but together as a global society.
It pushes us beyond just asking, what can we do with technology, to the more critical question, what should we do? How do we make sure this future aligns with our deepest human values?
A question worth pondering. We definitely encourage you to check out the full Megatrends Report 2025 if you want to go even deeper. Keep that curiosity alive. Keep questioning. Keep thinking about the forces shaping our world.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.